Have you ever wondered, does time really belong to you? Everything you do throughout the day, the rush, the tasks you're trying to finish, the moments you leave unfinished while rushing to the next, are all of these for you, or is there something pulling you quickly somewhere else? We think being faster, achieving more is the solution. But no matter how hard you try, the time you set aside still isn't enough, is it? What if that feeling of never catching up was actually a problem that never needed solving? What if we're all asking the wrong questions? If you want to stop time, truly understand the pressure you feel, and uncover the deeper truth of this paradox, this video is for you. Timelessness. Have you ever asked yourself, where is time going? It feels like the days aren't just passing, they're flying by. You're living in a constant rush, yet somehow never catching up. This isn't just your problem. It's a reality the modern world forces upon all of us. Do you know how time looked to people in the past? For centuries, people planned their days around the sunrise and sunset. There were no clocks, no minutes. No one said, "I'm late." But today, everything is speeding up. At airplane speed, at light speed. The concept of timelessness we're talking about is actually entirely artificial. Clocks, calendars, seconds, these are our inventions. But the things we invented are now starting to control us. Now it feels like there's never enough time for anything. So where does this feeling come from? In this video, we'll try to really understand the concept of timelessness. We'll talk about how it originated in history, how it affects you in the modern world, and how you can deal with it. Can we stop time from becoming your enemy? That's what we'll explore together. You feel like you can't catch up with anything, right? Things just keep piling up, the list keeps growing, and time is running out. But this isn't just you, it's something we all experience. People ask themselves the same question every day. Why can't I get things done, despite all this rushing around? This feeling is actually a mental and physical burden. As you constantly try to catch up with things, you're unknowingly burning yourself out. Your brain is always thinking about the next step, while your body is struggling to keep up with the pace. More stress, less energy, more burnout. And ironically, the tasks still aren't getting done. We'll talk about how the modern world makes you feel this way, how the psychology of timelessness affects you, and how to break this cycle. I'll show you that this feeling isn't a problem, but rather an opportunity for transformation if approached correctly. By the end of this video, you won't just understand timelessness, you'll also know what you need to do to deal with it. Have you ever wondered why time seems to be passing so quickly? You feel like everything is speeding up nowadays, but this is actually the continuation of a very old story. Timelessness, contrary to popular belief, isn't a new issue. We've arrived at this point step by step as the result of hundreds of years of history. With the Industrial Revolution, life changed completely. Back then, people measured time by the sunrise and sunset. They lived in harmony with nature. But then clocks came into play. Factory whistles turned people into parts of a machine. A life dictated by the clock began. Time was no longer a flowing river. It was seen as a resource to be controlled. The phrase, "time is money," was born. This one sentence shaped our lives from beginning to end. But that wasn't enough. When the digital age arrived, everything sped up even more. Now, instant communication, the pressure to always be online, and the constant demand for productivity have become the center of our lives. Every notification on your phone triggers your brain. Every message, every email, every social media update. This is why you feel like time is slipping away from you. Doing more, being faster, living more efficiently. But why? Have you ever asked yourself that? Is there really a place where this speed is taking you forward, or are you just trapped in an endless cycle of running? You'll understand how our perception of time has changed from the Industrial Revolution until today, and how this affects you. Without understanding this issue, you can't solve it. That's why this chapter is the foundation of everything. Learn why timelessness is such a deep-rooted problem, and find the clues to escape this vortex. Have you ever wondered if your perception of time is just an illusion? As days fly by, sometimes you're shocked at how long a single moment can feel. The reason behind this is a hidden mechanism in your brain, the biological clock. But how does this clock cope with the speed of the modern world? This is where things get tricky. In your brain, there's a center that allows you to perceive time. This center works in harmony with a natural rhythm. Your body, in sync with the sunrise and sunset, keeps a rhythm like an orchestra. This rhythm is called the circadian rhythm. It tells you when you'll feel sleepy and when you'll be energetic. Every cell, every organ in your body follows this clock. However, in today's world, this rhythm is disrupted. When you wake up, you're not looking at the sunlight, but the bright blue light of your phone screen. You work late into the night and spend time on social media when you should be sleeping. Instead of living according to the rhythm of the sun, you surrender to the rhythm of screens. And when your biological clock is out of sync, your perception of time starts to break down too. Every time you feel like you need to do more, your brain expends extra energy to keep up with this pace. That's why you feel exhausted by the end of the day. But the issue isn't just tiredness. The feeling that time is speeding up comes from the conflict between your biological clock and the rhythm of the modern world. I'll show you how these clocks work, what your body really wants, and how you can resolve this mismatch. Remember, in order to regain control over how time passes, you first need to understand how it works. Why do we talk so much about time management? Books, apps, courses, they all aim to give you more time. But in the end, you find yourself feeling like you have less time. This is what we can call the paradox of timelessness. While we're scrambling to create more time, we're actually trapping ourselves in an even more intense and compressed cycle. It all starts with the idea of time management. Planning your day, making to-do lists, learning to be efficient. Sounds logical, right? But here's the irony. All these efforts eventually lead you to burnout. The time spent planning ends up merging with the pressure of executing those plans. You start feeling like you must achieve more, and that's when the feeling of timelessness deepens. While aiming to create free time, what we're actually doing is splitting time up and losing control over it. A life planned minute by minute leaves no room for spontaneous moments. Even when you set aside time to have fun, it starts to feel like an obligation. The more you try to control time, the more time starts controlling you. Think about it. Why does the modern person feel busier than ever before in history? Yet, with the advancement of technology, our tasks should be easier, right? Modern life has sped things up, but there's a burden that comes with that speed. We're left with the responsibility of managing time properly. The consequences aren't just mental, we're physically affected too. The constant anxiety to catch up increases your heart rate, disrupts your sleep patterns, and wears you out. The greatest irony of the paradox of timelessness is this. If you actually had more time, do you know how to make use of it? The answer to this question could change your perspective on time and your relationship with this pressure. In this video, I'll give you the tools to understand this paradox and reduce the pressure in your own life. Have you felt it too? In this fast-flowing life, did you forget to stop and breathe? So how can you turn this situation around? Stay here to find out, because everything might be working differently than you think. Not being able to keep up. This feeling sounds familiar, doesn't it? The rush of being late for work or school in the mornings, the never-ending items on the to-do list, and at the same time facing the fake world on social media where everyone seems more productive and happier than you. We're all losing ourselves in this speed. But this isn't just an individual problem, it's actually becoming a societal phenomenon. Social media has completely reshaped our consumption habits and lifestyles. Everything is consumed quickly now. We decide to like a post in seconds, and just a brief exposure to an ad is enough to make us want to buy a new product. But what happens when this speed spreads into every aspect of life? We find ourselves constantly comparing ourselves to others. The question, how does that person keep up with so much, nags at our minds. The answer is simple. Most people aren't keeping up. They just appear to. Performance pressure is another layer to this. In modern society, our value is measured by how much we achieve. When you can't finish a project on time or reach a goal, you don't just disappoint yourself. You feel like you're disappointing others too. But here's the real issue. This constant race doesn't make us happier or more successful. It just makes us more tired, more stressed, and more lonely. How does this feeling differ between cultures? In the Western world, the emphasis on individual success puts people in a never-ending cycle of proving themselves. However, in some Asian cultures, there's more value placed on collective success, which seems to lighten the load on individuals. But unfortunately, globalization is imposing the same speed and performance standards across the globe. Now, no matter where you are, everyone is struggling with the same fear of not keeping up. The consequences of this aren't just at the individual level. As societies get lost in the cycle of constant production and consumption, a deeper sense of unrest develops. Family bonds weaken, it becomes harder to form real connections between people, and societal solidarity gives way to individual struggles. Maybe at this point we should ask, is not being able to keep up really such a bad thing? Maybe we can turn this feeling around. As a society, we could prioritize depth over speed and live a more meaningful life by doing less. So how can we achieve this? Together we'll explore the answer to this question, because the solution may be much closer than you think. The feeling of timelessness keeps you constantly running from one place to another. Things are getting tougher every day, aren't they? But there is an exit from this vicious cycle. More and more people are realizing this problem every day and searching for a solution. Let's take a look at some of these solutions. Minimalism. Simplifying everything, getting rid of unnecessary burdens. But minimalism doesn't only require physical simplification, it also requires mental simplicity. Fewer possessions, less clutter, and most importantly, less stress. You should practice minimalism not only with the things you own, but also with the thoughts in your mind. That's when you begin to notice the difference. The value of time increases. Above all, you start to focus only on what is truly necessary. This focus will help you organize both your work and your personal life. Mindfulness, fully experiencing the present moment. This really means being in the now. Don't get stuck in the past or worry about the future. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the moment fully. Don't focus on anything other than what you need to do right now. These mindfulness practices prevent time from overwhelming you. They clear away the mental clutter. You learn to control your thoughts. This not only provides mental comfort, but also makes it easier for you to focus on the things you need to catch up on more effectively. So, how can we slow down time? When you're truly living in a fast-moving life, it's hard to slow down time's speed. But here are a few strategies that can help. For example, digital detoxes that you can make part of your daily routine. Put your phone aside and go completely offline for a few hours. This can help time feel like it's passing more slowly. In the digital world, everything happens instantly. Constant notifications, alerts. But these notifications force you to run from one place to another. Staying away from them can save you time. Another method is creating individual time blocks. This requires focusing entirely on one thing at a specific time. You shouldn't think of anything else at that moment. Time passes quickly when there are too many tasks and distractions. But when you focus your attention on one point and deepen the experience while doing it, it changes how you perceive the passage of time. Time doesn't pass as quickly because you are fully present in the moment. Finally, with a few small changes, you can help slow down time. Make your daily routine more conscious. Create simplicity and calmness in your habits. Instead of quickly jumping out of bed and rushing in the mornings, take a few minutes to breathe deeply. Spend an hour each day focusing on just one activity. This way, you can learn to control the speed of your life. Time is truly in your hands. The rabbit may be faster than the turtle, but the turtle's life lasts longer than the rabbit's. Does the truth of time really exist? Or perhaps time is nothing more than an illusion created in our minds. From a philosophical point of view, questioning the nature of time can take us on a journey deep into the mysteries of the universe. Many philosophers have attempted to understand the essence of time. One perspective that discusses whether time is an illusion is the idea that time is created in the human mind. This view argues that time does not have a fixed flow, but is shaped according to the nature of reality itself. For example, Zeno's paradoxes claim that time seems to stand still. Within a moment, it is suggested that the transition to the next moment never actually happens. As Zeno thought, does time consist of an infinite number of moments pieced together, or does it simply exist as a whole? Philosophically, time can be seen as a sequence of events or a line. However, another viewpoint suggests that time is a reflection of a now that exists simultaneously in everything and everyone. This idea defines time as an illusion, because time is not going anywhere, it is only reflecting a state of being. If time is an illusion, then why do we constantly feel like we're moving toward the future? Deep thoughts about the nature of time move into another dimension: quantum physics. You might be surprised at how much modern science has changed our perception of time. Quantum mechanics reveals that time is actually not fixed, and that it only takes form when we observe it. The motion of a particular particle can only be defined by probability calculations to determine its relationship with time. In other words, instead of a continuous and natural flow of time, there are transitions between instantaneous states and probabilities. Quantum physics shows how fluid time can be. The more we observe time, the more uncertain it becomes. For example, with a scenario like Schrödinger's cat, where something can exist and not exist at the same time, it becomes difficult to accept that time is a fixed line. Time, in a sense, becomes a matter of observation. Whether time is an absolute truth or not, as both a philosophical and scientific question, causes us to question our place in the universe. If time is an illusion, how much does it really affect us? Perhaps we should see the world we live in as a reflection of our own perceptions. The way we perceive time as so patient and constant is actually a result of the way the human brain understands it. This leads us to question how valid time truly is. Our perception of time is often shaped by the hustle and pressures of life. However, sometimes there are moments when you completely lose track of time. These are, in fact, a type of experience that can profoundly affect how time is perceived. Moments where you dive into your inner world and feel like time has stopped show how perception can transform during mental shifts. So what are these experiences, and how do they change our perception of time? The flow state and the feeling of time stopping. The flow state is one of the most intense moments in life. When you fully dedicate yourself to a task, when all your attention is directed toward it, it feels as if time disappears. This is called flow. Mentally and physically, you can't even notice how much time has passed. This state creates a feeling as though time simply doesn't exist. These moments usually occur during creative processes or activities you're deeply passionate about. While painting, playing music, or focusing on solving a problem, it feels like time stands still. You don't think about the past or the future, only the now exists. In that moment, it feels like everything is going perfectly. While in the flow, perhaps the passage of time isn't important to you because all your focus is on the present. Meditation and deep focus. Meditation is another profound experience that alters time perception. When you empty your mind and temporarily disconnect from everything, you might notice how time slips away. This is a conscious act of playing with time. During deep meditation, an hour might have passed, and yet you're still fully immersed in the now. You enter a space where everything slows down and every thought becomes clearer. Meditation turns into a practice where you don't feel time more, but rather focus on it less. In this way, time becomes more fluid. Deep focus allows you to purify yourself from everything outside of your thoughts. As a result, time remains like a background presence. Changing perception of time through these experiences pull you into the present moment. When you're lost in life's hustle and bustle, there might be times when you feel as if you have no connection to time. This helps you realize how relative time truly is. In moments like flow and meditation, you can reconsider your relationship with time. How will the timelessness paradox evolve with the rapid changes in technology and society? Even now, it's becoming harder to notice how time passes, and how this paradox will shape the future raises a revolutionary question for humanity. How will we redefine time? Artificial intelligence and automation, forces reshaping time. Artificial intelligence and automation are rapidly entering our lives. These technologies could change the workforce, allowing people to spend less time on daily tasks. Imagine one day not having to go to work in the morning. What if, while you're having your morning coffee, all your work was already done? If AI takes over routine tasks, you could entirely dedicate your time to other things. This could create a true timelessness paradox. Imagine a world where buses, cars, and factory machines are managed, and people are no longer just operators but creators. In such a future, time may no longer be a race for people, but rather an experience. The question, how is time passing, will be something we ask ourselves in pursuit of inner fulfillment and meaning. A dream of a world where less work is possible. Perhaps the most exciting aspect of the timelessness paradox is how we're gradually moving toward a future where less work is possible. With automation, as tasks become faster and more efficient, people are expected to have more leisure time. How will this transform economic structures? Imagine living in a world where you could sustain yourself by working just a few hours a week. Traditional job models would be replaced with more flexible and meaningful work. Work time will exist only when necessary, instead of being a permanent part of your life. In the future, we'll often ask ourselves this question: how do I want to spend my time? You'll be able to enjoy life more by using your time more efficiently. You'll recognize the value of time not from fleeting pleasures in the moment, but by focusing on the bigger picture. The timelessness paradox, moving toward a solution. Thanks to artificial intelligence and automation, the timelessness paradox may be heading toward a solution. This could create more freedom and opportunities for individuals. However, this transformation requires not only a technological shift, but also a cultural change. It will all come down to understanding the value of time and how we should approach it. The timelessness paradox is becoming one of the most fascinating concepts in our rapidly changing world. With the help of artificial intelligence and automation, we may be able to reshape our concept of time. Perhaps in the future, we won't ask, how can I use time more efficiently, but rather, how can I make my time more meaningful? So, what lies behind this transformation? Can we really gain more freedom by working less? If you're curious about the answers to these questions, I invite you to take a deeper dive with me on my channel. Let's continue exploring the future of time together. Now, it's the perfect time to question how you're using your time. Thank you for listening. See you in the next video.